Hello and welcome. This is my name is Gordon Berry from Armadillo Support. Thank you for dropping in to watch this brief video today. I want to speak to you a little bit about Armadillo Academy, which we've probably dropped some hints to you already of what we're speaking about with Armadillo Academy. Many of us have been through a lot of the business development tools and ideas over the years, continually evolving, but also some of the stuff that we learned early on has been very helpful to us in our business. But we all took little bits from it, and there's so much more that could be done. We're not saying compliance is dead, it's still our bread and butter, but the business development is where a lot of the opportunities are. And that's what we want to speak to you a little bit about today. The idea behind Armadillo Academy is really to help you develop your teams, the managers and the future partners coming through with arming them with the right mindset, the right tools and processes, the right systems, and how they can actually have fun working with clients and free you up as the partner to work on the business, not in it. It's an old cliche, but it still stands good. And I'm very pleased to say that one of our partners that we're working with is Clarity, and somebody you may actually know, Ainsley Damery, who's going to take us through a little bit of an explanation today as to what Clarity is all about. Ainsley, welcome.
Thank you, Gordon. It's great to be here. So I've had a long association with you, I think over the number of years, and with Indeed. Probably a number of the members of the Armadillo Academy, or soon to be members of the Armadillo Academy. So I'm delighted to be back. In a different guise. So I'm still a qualified chartered accountant, or chartered accountant. I presumed I qualified a long time ago. I am still a chartered accountant, but for those who hadn't realized, I did sell my accounting firm about 18 months ago. I sold it to Crow. They were looking to build a national entrepreneurial type division. So for those of people who may not know what I was up to, we were a very niche business advisory accounting firm. We were early adopters of cloud back in 2009, 10-ish. And we learned very, very early on that it was technology, not for technology's sake, but to deliver better client services and a better client experience. We did struggle scaling business advisory, and that's particularly why me and Stephen Brigginshaw, who ran a very similar accounting firm to me, came together to try and solve that problem. We've, I suppose you and I have, I didn't go to boot camp, neither of us actually went to boot camp, but we have heard all about boot camp, and we've known people who've gone to boot camp, and we've certainly been part of organizations that have followed on from boot camp. And together, you and I probably have adopted and adapted some of the processes and systems that were in those various organizations. Now, Clarity effectively is us distilling down the best bits that we could, the high impact strategies and systems that we could help accounting firms to absolutely smash business advisory. And we'll get into what business advisory is and what we think business advisory is in a little bit. But effectively, what we want to do is make sure that rather than just giving business advisory support to the top 10, 20% of clients in an accounting firm, and that's historically been delivered by maybe the partners or the directors or the senior managers, we wanted to make sure that we had systems and process combined with leveraging the power of technology to be able to deliver and engage the team to be able to deliver business support services to all of those clients that really desperately want help from an accountant. So that's the background to Clarity and why we set it up. So rather than, I suppose, drift through slides, let me just probably kick off a little bit, Gordon. So for those who are aware, we have won a number of awards. We did win as accountants a number of awards, both nationally and internationally, for the way we did business. Most innovative accounting firm, best advisors to small business. So we have a good, strong understanding of both small businesses, what they're looking for, what they need from accountants. And also we've got a really good understanding of how accountants work in practice, what tools have been around and what have been used, where the gap has been, and really creating a solution that actually helps fill that gap. So our purpose is to give every small business owner clarity so that they can build a better business for themselves, a better life for their family and team, particularly family and team, and ultimately contribute towards a better world. So as you and I have said in the past, this is about having fun too. It's important that we have fun along the way. And when we're talking about small businesses, we're including accountants in that clearly, because most of our accounting members are small businesses too. Now, although we launched in September, we've been very lucky to be Xero's Global App Partner of the Month in November 2019, 2 months after launch, which was really exciting. And we were finalists in their 2020 Emerging App Partner of the Year. So that was quite good from a very early start. And if you're wondering, okay, so is Clarity just a piece of software? Well, no, it's not. We have built everything that we do is focused on helping accounting firms, and they're at the center of everything we do. And it's all about helping accountants get more time, more money, and more freedom. And this isn't just for accountants, it's for their small business clients as well. And the areas that we as an organization focus on are people, process, and clients. And we've built programs and tools and systems to support accounting firms across all these 3 areas. And it's been really, really, I think, an exciting journey, an exciting thing to get involved in. And it's really exciting to be able to increase the impact of what we've previously done in previous lives to actually bring it into Clarity. So as you said, it is absolutely about the right combination of people, process, and technology. And I know this from experience. It's not about throwing technology at this. It's not going to solve the problem. We need to combine it with the right people, the people who actually want to do the work and want to get involved in the front line. It's no point, and you and I had a quick chat about this, there's no point shoving people into the role who don't want to speak to clients, who are comfortable behind a computer screen and just want to do compliance work. Most of your clients don't just want compliance work. They want help with their business, and they want an intelligent friend to be able to bounce ideas off. So it's important that we actually put the right people in the right places and help them with the right processes and systems together with those tools. So a brief introduction to the challenges and the problems that we see particularly. So from an accounting firm, historically, we've seen it's always been a time for money game. And this doesn't matter whether you've got timesheets and you're billing on the basis of time, whether you've got a menu price system and you have fixed fees, or whether you're doing value pricing. Generally, it all boils down to time, and time is such a limited resource. And so when we're working time for money, this has put a lot of pressure on accountants and the way that we work. And we've had a mass amount of competition coming into the marketplace, a severe downward pressure on pricing, which previously was on compliance, but we've seen that now started to drift into business advisory services too. And so many owners and accounting firms feel that they've become a slave to the firm, a slave to their team, and a slave to their clients. And we want to completely transform that and turn that upside down and put it on its head. We also know that many accounting owners are not earning the profits that they deserve. And we've actually seen studies which show that profit per partner has decreased by approximately 40% over the last 5 years. And that's being down to downward pressure on pricing, rising overheads and costs, and rising costs of salaries, and potentially not harnessing properly the power of process and technology to be able to support the team to do their job as best they can. So we know time is a scarce resource, and we have to be aware of this. And hopefully I can show you today that it's about the focus, and how you focus your time is particularly important to be able to generate better profits and more fun and more freedom for you too. So this is about helping with new revenue streams or additional revenue streams. So for firms that are delivering business advisory, we're going to give them a tool that will help them expand and scale that business advisory. For those firms that aren't currently offering business advisory services, then they've got an out-of-the-box toolkit that they can run with. And a main problem that we've seen from bootcamp days onwards is that there's a lot of information about how to build a business advisory and what accountants should be doing. But there's been very little high impact focus on how to do it, and how to do it effectively and efficiently, and how to do it at a price that small business owners are prepared to pay for. So hopefully, Gordon, we can show you today how we've solved that problem.
Yeah, that would be excellent, Ainsley. My recollection of running the accountancy firm when I first took it over was that all of my time was spent trying to bring clients to the table. And then the team in the background were processing it. I know what you mean when you say that some will be quite happy to continue with the processing, but some others will be turned on and engaged by interacting with the client. And we never had the tools and the processes at the time to really empower the staff to free me up. And that meant that my time was very time-starved, let's say, trying to find the right words there. It was a real challenge. And to try and get out of that rut, that cycle, was very difficult to try and break it, to take the time to empower the team, to train them, to give them the tools. The groups that I did get involved with, like Peak Performance, which is where we met, helped me with that. But now that we've come to the stage of 21st century technology, everything up to date, I'm delighted to see that you've managed to bring it all together here, Ainsley. This looks very interesting.
Fantastic, thanks. And I think this is particularly relevant at the moment as well, because we've seen, this has been, I think, a great time for accountants. Small business owners are actually realizing that accountants are there to help them and can help them massively. We've seen that remote working works because we've been talking about this for a long time in the industry. And we've seen that cloud technology also supports home working and remote working and working with businesses remotely. And we've seen that small business owners are desperately looking for help and now are prepared to come to accountants asking for that help. Now, I kind of refer to it as the perfect advisory storm. Everything that clients have been screaming for help in the last 3 months, particularly. And so for those that were watching this maybe in a couple of months' time, we're talking July here. So we're talking post-COVID-19, the April, May, June manic time that's happened. Small business owners have been scrambling and screaming for help when they've been looking for help with cost reduction, break-even analysis, cash flow projections, three-way projections for bank loan applications, you name it. It's just been a constant tsunami. But in reality, they've been looking for this help for a long period of time. It's maybe only now that both sides have seen, one, that small business owners desperately do want this help and are prepared to pay. Although I accept at the moment that some people have been offering that help free of charge or have been deferring it or have been doing whatever they can to support the businesses at their time of need. But going forward, we now need to be able to price clearly for this, and we need to be able to demonstrate the value, because small business owners will pay. They pay coaches, they pay consultants, they pay entrepreneurial organizations for help and support. Why can't they pay the people who can actually help them dramatically? So that's what today is about. Fantastic. So briefly, the traditional accounting model was always based on a third, a third, a third. And so we all know this equation. We've been brought up with this equation. So theoretically, 33% from salaries, 33% for overheads, and then the balance for partners to distribute amongst themselves as remuneration. Now, that doesn't happen in reality. And it happens for a number of reasons. We don't get the recoveries. People don't pay the amounts that they might expect to. Costs have tended to rise dramatically over the last period. And so what we've seen traditionally, and this is an average of the numbers we've been finding, is that we're seeing gross profit percentages of 50%. And in some cases, it goes down to 40%. So quite, high salary costs. We're seeing overheads probably pretty much on par. And as accountants, we're probably good at managing overheads. So we can flex those overheads downwards. So we're seeing profits between 15 and 20% traditionally. That's what we're seeing at the moment for accounting firms. Now, there is a better way, and we have other accounting firms who are out there actually shining a beacon. And so we're seeing some firms with models like this. Now, you might think that's fantastical to get an 80% gross margin, but I'd encourage you to go onto our website. There's a calculator built on there where you can play with your own firm's numbers and play with and see what the potential in your firm is and how you can actually shift the mix of revenue with mix of services, and how that can have a dramatic impact on your bottom line, particularly your profitability. So what's the
website address, Ainsley?
So it's gone one page.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Beg your pardon.
There we go. But I don't know what's happening with the slides. Maybe if it's an extra build has been stuck in there. I didn't realize it had happened. So if they go on our website, clarity-hq.com and /calculator, that'll take you to a calculator where you can put your own firm's numbers in there. You don't have to put in any details whatsoever. So this isn't, we're not gonna get to see what you've put in. This is purely for firms to be able to see what they're currently making and what potentially they could make by using business advisory services to the maximum. Now, this isn't the traditional business advisory services. This isn't advisory services that combine a lot of people time and are bespoke and for the top level of our clients. Now, we will always be able to deliver bespoke advisory to the top 10, 20% who are prepared to pay for it. This is about how we introduce business advisory at a smaller scale to those clients that are not in our top 10, 20%, who are desperately looking for help and support. And traditionally, we've avoided business advisory because maybe it's been down to the partners. We haven't had the time as partners, and the small business owners haven't wanted to pay our charge-out rates for business advisory support. So the calculator will give firms a really good indication of what's possible. And we're seeing that firms quite simply can increase their revenue by 40% and their profitability by 125% by introducing scalable advisory solutions. And we'll show you what that is and how that can be done. So yeah, putting it back to what does this mean for the small business owner and for the accounting firm. So the challenges that I've always seen in small business from all my years of accounting have been pretty much boiled down into these four things. And pretty much these have been exacerbated over the last 3 months. So what we were talking and showing this slide 8, 10, 12 months ago, it's still the same slide that we're showing today. We used to use complex world. Now we're saying VUCA world. So that's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So small business owners are drowning in information and they're drowning in a complex business world. What they need is somebody to support them, an intelligent friend. They're looking for insights. They're looking for knowledge. They're looking for help. They're looking for support. That's what they're desperately looking for. And throwing more data at them isn't particularly helpful. So in the past, some of the business advisory tools have been all about sending out reports to clients. Now, clients we know don't get their numbers as it is. So sending out pretty graphs and lots of detailed numbers to them in report style isn't really helping the situation. It's actually making it worse. So we wanted to make that simple and boil that down and make the numbers simple so that business owners could understand them, because understanding their numbers obviously is another key critical area. Getting their numbers is one thing, but actually understanding them is another. And what we want to do is to be able to help small business owners with the language of business, as Warren Buffett calls it. So accounting is the language of business. So let's help them understand that language. And of course, cash is an obvious one that they struggle with. How many times were you in practice and clients said to you, I couldn't have made all that profit, where's all the cash gone?
Where is it? Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's if they declared it and it wasn't under the bed, I suppose.
Yeah. I could see that on the accounts you provided, Mr. Berry, but where is the money?
Absolutely. So helping them understand the difference between profit and cash, helping them understand how their business model generates operating cash, how they can get access to the right cash at the right price through investment and funding and finance is critical. And those are things that we have in spades that we're able to help. And this is what they're looking for help with, and planning. You know, we know that to be successful, you need to have a plan. It doesn't need to be a 30-page report that sits on the bottom shelf here, but a living, breathing business model that can be flexed and can be moved is critical to understand how we can move forward and create focus. So.
Absolutely. You can't hit a target you don't have.
Exactly. So with technology nowadays, we can create a plan for every single client if we choose to do so. And we're going to show business owners how they can do, or accountants how they can do that, and business owners why it's important to let the accountant help them do that. So effectively, Prince Charles said to the ICAEW that it was accountants were going to save the world. Everybody laughed at him. But we're seeing, particularly at the moment, accountants are the front line for small businesses. Accountants have all the inherent skills, training, and ability to help small business owners with what they're looking for. And in fact, this is about giving the team confidence, empowering them, and giving them the right systems and processes and technology to be able to actually really transform the world and make it an amazing place to be, especially in the current climate that we're in. So enough rah-rah. What we did is, for accounting firms, we broke advisory down into 5 different levels. When accountants think advisory, Gordon, they think, oh my God, I'm not a guru, I'm not a management consultant, I possibly couldn't help.
Yes. Yes, for some people, it's where to start, how do I know what to do? I've trained to be an accountant. I'm not sure how to go forward with business advisory. And I do recall, was it Principa? Yes, and the whole lot of tools that were available, and some of it was overwhelmed. So how do you break it down? Where do you start, step by step? Yeah, good.
Absolutely. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So this is effectively what we're trying to do for accounting firms to be able to get advisory out there and working. So we've broken advisory down into 5 different levels. And what we've said is that this is showing the team that they can get involved at pretty much levels 1 to 4 across the board. Potentially, we maybe need a little bit of gray hair and experience to deliver at level 5. But for most of the team, they're able to help clients with awareness, which is knowing where they are now, where they could get to, and what the gap is, holding them accountable. And studies show that small business owners with written goals that are held accountable achieve 78% more. Now, we know this works in teams because, like, why do world-class athletes have a coach? It's not to help them hit, kick, throw the ball better. It's to give them focus. It's to keep them accountable. It's to keep them on track. It's to help them. And so that's what an accountant can effectively do for a small business owner. Now, I'm not saying turn everybody into coaches here. I'm just saying having a plan with your client and actually meeting them on a regular basis, whether that's monthly, quarterly, bi-monthly, to say, how are you doing? What have you done? What haven't you done? What are you struggling with? How can we help you? Is an amazing process to go through. And just by doing that, we had clients at our firm that doubled their profits just by those 2 things alone. And nothing fancy, no massive shifts in the business. And we'll see that it's, 1% changes can make a massive difference when they're combined together. This isn't about dramatically shifting your client's business. This is just helping them make 1% differences consistently, which in the end can have a massive, massive impact. So obviously, insights is helping them understand what's possible with numbers, and then helping them create plans and dashboards and KPIs and all the other extra things that we've seen for years in the business advisory space. We are now putting those into context and into play, and small business owners can see why an accountant might want to then use those tools with them once we have an actual plan. So what we've done as well for accounting firms is we've commercialized each of these 5 areas. We've broken them down. We've shown what an accountant can do in each of these areas, and we've shown them what tools they can use and templates they can use and our systems and processes to be able to deliver this. So effectively, if you want to get started, we've given you an out-of-the-box solution, which of course you can tweak to the firm, change, adapt, change the pricing. I mean, we base this here on frontline team, not partners. So this is frontline team delivering, and this is using technology to its fullest wherever we can. And we can see our 2 favorites for our members, the 2 packages that they are able to sell to their clients the easiest are the £257 a month package and the £457 a month packages. Now, we've value priced these packages. There isn't too much difference in time here. So on the Insights package, it's roughly 16 hours per client per year. And in the planning, it's possibly maybe 20. But the value you're giving them in the planning package is so much more. And we can clearly show the client the value of that, then it's how we've differentiated the pricing. So we know our members are really successful with these 2 prices. And so it's a big shift potentially for some of your clients, but hopefully they'll understand now why they'd want to spend more time with you and what you can do to actually help them. So the whole Clarity platform is built on our advisory framework. It's a very simple framework, working with the client over their life cycle. When we used to use this framework in practice or a similar version, no client ever said, oh, that's not how I want to work with you, or that's not how I see this relationship. Every client said, yeah, absolutely, that's what makes sense to me, and that's what I can see, and I can see our relationship working on this basis. Now, at each of these levels, you can go light or you can go deep. So you can, holding your clients accountable could be a monthly check-in call, it could be a quarterly board meeting, it might be a bi-monthly hour Zoom. There's lots of ways in each of these areas where you can do small or you can do deep. And what we've created in each of these areas is high impact strategies that will actually help the client, but also be easy for the firm to deliver. And that's fundamentally the background into Clarity. But if I just show you quickly, this isn't a demo, this is just a quick show so that people can get a flavor for the technology, first of all, and then we can a little bit delve into the systems and processes at a later time for them. So I'm going to switch screens, hopefully. So
Okay.
it does take a little time to...
My recollection when I was introducing clients to business advisory, my father had the firm before me, a very traditional firm and very traditional clients, and my methodology of introducing them to business advisory was to take the profit and loss figures effectively and use a small tool to show them the impact of small changes on what we used to describe as the 4 ways to grow, just to get the conversation opened up. And it was only through other personal development that I did that I then learned some of the skills to then take that conversation further. I think potentially what's challenging for some people is how do they get the conversation started, and then how do they know where to take it from there? And that was what was missing. I think was the actual support in where to take the conversation from there. So this is the actual software. Is this tying straight into bookkeeping, that modern day online cloud bookkeeping?
Absolutely. So what we're seeing here is the initial screen for the firm, and it depends on the access rights that you've set up, who sees what clients and how many clients they get to see. But let's assume we're the partner of the firm at the moment, so we've got access to all our clients. I have cheekily picked March 2019 in the background whilst you were chatting, and that's purely because I'm using dummy data, and so I have very rough and ready data. What would generally happen is this data comes in live, so you see it live, and so you're always looking at live data. Now, we know that live data can be a bit dangerous from a small business perspective, in that they mightn't be always keeping their records up to date, and certainly daily bookkeeping is a rare occurrence in many firms. So we do have the ability to select a period here. So we could go back to the previous month end, or we could go back to any period, in effect, that we're putting in the data for. So here I've just chosen a period that I actually know I've got some decent data for. Now, effectively, what we can see here is we can see our clients. We can see whether there's a zero connection. And in fact, it'll tell me this client needs reconnecting because the API has disconnected for whatever reason. We can see if the client is a QuickBooks client, QuickBooks Online, or we can see if it's a manual data entry. So if the client isn't on QuickBooks or Xero, you can enter the data manually. It's 17 numbers for 2 accounting periods is the minimum you need to get some reliable data in the system. So again, that's a 10-minute job. Obviously, if it's got a connected API, it takes the data live all the time in the background. And so therefore, you've always got lots of data to look at. And effectively, what you can see here is all your clients on one screen, and it's showing the 7 key numbers in their business for all of your clients. So we're looking here at revenue, we're looking at revenue indicators, we're looking at balance sheet indicators, we're looking at cash indicators, and we're also looking at efficiency ratios. So it's a complete analysis of the business in 7 key numbers. We can also see clearly here as well that if we've created an action plan for the client, where they are on completing those tasks on that action plan. So that's our initial screen. We've got a quick view. We can actually filter this data. So we can sort this data high to low, low to high. And so effectively, we can see some key metrics within our client base. We can also filter the data. And effectively, by filtering it, we can filter it by location, by sector, industry sector, by year-end data source. And what we can do with that data is then effectively benchmark within our client portfolio. So we can clearly see which clients are doing well, and those of the same industry who is doing better than the others. And that sometimes is helpful when you're talking to a small business owner when they say, I couldn't possibly do that, Gordon. Then you could say, well, there's 3 people in not far away from you that are doing it. So what are they doing different from you, and how can we help you do that too? So that's particularly useful from that perspective. Now, what we can do on the screen, and this is just generally for firm use, this isn't for helping the clients. This is purely just to be able to help with an overview, to understand which clients you want to speak to first, to maybe understand which clients you've been working with and where they are and whether they're increasing or not. And what's coming out in the next week, so it will be out by the time most people see this, is we're allowing each firm to put their own 3 firm data tags in here. So maybe they want to use those tags for client segment, maybe portfolio, and maybe service level, for example. And so again, they can filter and sort within their practice on the basis of those those firm tags to be able to really drill down into information if that's what they want. Now we've moved those numbers by 3%, and now we've got our improved 7 key numbers. We can flick back to show the current numbers if we want to see them in comparison. And effectively now what we can also see is the inherent profit and cash improvement potential within each business by moving the 5 key levers in their business by 3%. So very fast. You've seen how quickly the numbers have been crunched. So we've been building this on latest architecture and infrastructure and latest programming language. So we couldn't have done this 18 months ago. We wouldn't have had the ability to crunch this so fast and to be able to generate these results so quickly. So effectively, we're leveraging technology to do a lot of donkey work for us in the background. And that's what technology is good at, not for firing out reports generally. So this does the donkey work. And we might say, actually, we haven't spoken to this client, and let's not choose an Australian dollar one. Let's just pick this one here and say, well, they're not on their action plan. We haven't spoken to them for a while. So let's go in and have a chat with this client. Now, effectively, in fact, let's not do that because that data isn't great. But it
feeds right through here, does it?
Yes, it does. So you can go straight through from the portfolio view and select your client. What I've gone in here, and I've cheated, is I've gone into, there's the advisor office. So this is the client's own data. And because I was using it for a long period of time, I put it into the advisor office. So the members that we find that actually are best using Clarity use it for their own firm first. So they're looking at their own margins, they're looking at their revenue per employee, they're looking at their cash days and their operating profit percentages and measuring and monitoring that. And by using it for themselves, they're able to actually really help their clients too. But you don't have to use it as a firm. But what I'm saying is it does give you maybe that authenticity when you're talking. Now, we have training on these 7 key numbers, what they are, how they relate to one another, what the discussion points that flow from it. So you don't have to train your team if you don't want to, but we do have that training. Now, we've taken it from a simplistic numbers-led approach, and that's back to your 4 ways to grow your business. What we don't want to do here is overphase the client with 20 KPIs, overphase the team with lots of KPIs. These are 7 numbers which give a good view of most businesses in the country that the business owner can get used to understanding. We can explain them to them, and the team can get used to dealing with. So this is why we kind of stripped back the complexity. But there's a lot of sophistication in this complexity. Some people see this simplicity as a flaw, but we're seeing this as the power of Clarity is making business simple. If you're there for making business complex, then this won't work for you. And again, it goes back to the same discussions you were having on using the data and the 4 ways to grow the business. And effectively, Clarity has built on that. So we can talk to the client and give them a quick snapshot of their business as it is now. Where we have the data, we've got the comparatives, so we can talk to them about what changes have happened in the last 12 months. There's 2 calculation methodologies that we have. One is a rolling 12-month basis. So it looks at the current 12 months versus the previous 12 months on a continuous basis. And that's helpful for startups or high growth businesses, or maybe during COVID, that might be the default calculation methodology because of the fluctuations we've had over the last 3 to 4 months. And maybe rolling 12 months is better than looking at annualizing numbers. The other obvious calculation is annualization. So it'll look at the current period, it'll extrapolate it out to 12 months and then compare it to the previous 12-month period. So we just need to understand what calculation basis is better for us, for the client. And what we can then do is we can flick to the future screen and how the conversation with the client would go. And sorry, I've got US dollars here because I've just had a conversation with a US prospect. So I switched the numbers.
Think about it. Just think about it in terms of pounds.
In pounds. And this is actually pounds data set. I cheekily just changed the currency rather than the actual data set. And so what the conversation with the client is, so as we've said before, you could probably just nudge this before you speak to the client. And this would give you an indication in advance of meeting the client of what type of conversation you might need to have and who might need to have that conversation. Now, the higher the number, probably the more senior member of the team that would need to have that conversation. And it also gives us an indication of the level of support we might need to put in place to be able to help the client achieve that £35,000 profit. So it might be that we need to look at maybe the planning rather than insights offer. And maybe we might need to think about other services that we offer, like management reporting, cash flow forecasting, budgeting and projections that would need to be put in place to be able to support this. And effectively, if we were to say to the client at the end of the conversation, if we're going to charge you £3,500 for the services to support you in generating £35,000 profit, then I think it's a no-brainer conversation for the small business owner. Now, I'm not saying you should charge 10%. I'm just saying, 10 times return on investment is a decent return that most small business owners would get. Now, the beauty about this as well is that you can use this with prospects. So if you get access to their cloud data, Xero, QuickBooks, and people will happily give you temporary access, you can hook it up. And then you can say to them along the lines of, in your prospect meeting, and it's a very different first prospect meeting if you use Clarity, is to say, on average, our clients grow by 5.7% per annum, for example. So if we were to help you grow by 6%, this is what it's going to mean to become a client of this firm. So £53,000 back pocket benefit from working with the firm. It's a very different conversation than saying, please come and work with us and we can help you. And so that's the power. So clearly what we want to do with the client is we want to start the conversation from the scratch, and we just want to have here a what if conversation. So this isn't about how at this stage, this is purely about what if. Now, everybody can do 1% more. 1% is easy peasy to achieve. So you're on a current run rate of 5%. So what happens if you could achieve 6%? What would that mean? And what would that mean to your bottom line profitability? And what would it mean to your cash position? And is it possible? Now, from the previous screen, we did see that the client dropped 21 percentage points on the previous accounting period. So could they do 22%, for example? And the client might say, well, hang on a sec, that was a one-off contract. That was a big deal. We won't get that one back this year, but we could certainly do 10%. And so we can say to them, great, let's lock in 10%, and let's just see and go down through the numbers. In this one, we're looking at gross profit. Now, clearly, we're probably saying to the client at this point, the data that you have may not be 100% accurate. It might be that you're not taking true account of the costs of goods sold or the costs of services provided. However, let's nudge the number a little bit, and then let's look at the underlying data with you and give you the training and the support that you need, or let us do the bookkeeping for you. If this was a normal number, we could just talk to them about percentage increases. Now, you can see here I'm talking about strategic growth all the time, so I'm looking at growth. In COVID, we can also look at minuses. So what happens if the gross margins drop by 9%? What's that going to do to our profitability and our cash position? So let's continue on the conversation from a growth perspective for the time being, but we can look at negatives as well. Operating profit, we're generally just going to nudge this by 2 to 3 to 5%, which is what we believe we can probably get rid of from wasteful costs and inefficient costs, and what that's going to do to the bottom line profitability. Revenue per employee is an interesting one for accountants. From their own numbers, it's a particularly relevant number. We've seen studies that should show that they should be achieving 125,000 revenue per employee roughly in an accounting firm. Now, obviously in service-based businesses, it is lower. And if you go to hospitality, it's even lower again. So we're maybe looking at a lot lower than 125. And when we look at tech companies, then they should be achieving a lot more. So it's not necessarily about knowing the absolute correct number here. It's about making it better. And it might be that we can do some reverse engineering here as well. So it might be that we say, with the revenue growth that we've predicted, we don't actually need any more team members. And so we can drive efficiency within the existing organization by helping with more systems and processes, and maybe helping with technology as well. There's three things that make up this number. It's obviously staffing levels. It's also the efficiency of the team, but it's also the efficiency of the processes and systems in the organization that will drive revenue per employee. So there's a lot of conversations to be had here. And the last lever is cash days. And so this is the cash conversion cycle. And again, this number, we don't need to know the absolutes. We just need to be driving that number down. Amazon, for example, will have negative cash days, and that they get paid before they have to pay anybody. Most businesses don't operate that way. So, and this instance 13 is probably quite a good days, and most people will be probably on 60 or 90 maybe, hopefully not too much higher. But what we can talk to the client is, rather than percentage changes, we can talk about absolute changes if we want to. Now, Clarity is built mobile first, so it works on iPads, it works on phones, depending on screen size with your thumb. It works on laptops, on desktops, and there's various ways. So you can use sliders, you can enter the numbers in, or you can use the cursors. And effectively, it was intended as a collaborative tool, and most of our clients use it as a collaborative tool so that they can absolutely give it to their clients to let them play with it and own it. But it's not, if the firm wants to use it as their own IP, then they can do this. But I would recommend it's collaborative, and certainly on Zoom would probably be a good way. And the other two numbers are purely results buttons here. So they're falling out of the 5 ways to change this business in this example. And so what we can say to the client is, just by making those simple small changes that you think are possible, this is the inherent profit improvement and cash improvement potential within the business. And we can then ask the client at that stage, what would it feel like if you want to have that conversation? What would it feel like to actually achieve that profitability? And what would it mean to you, and what would you do with it? Mm-hmm. Now the client is going to say,
how would it change things for you?
Absolutely.
What would be different if you were able to achieve?
Exactly. Now, what the client is likely to say at this point is, that's all very well, Ainsley. That sounds great, but how the hell am I going to do that?
Yeah.
So what we've built here is a collaborative action plan that you can work through with the client to be able to go through and see how the business owner can make this happen. Now, if it's a senior member of the team, we've put in some pre-built conversation starters in here if the team gets stuck. If it's a senior member of the team, they might want to start with a blank canvas and delete all their tasks. But what I didn't want to happen is for the team member to say to the client, well, Mary or John, we're going from 339 to 373. How are you going to do that? For the client to say, well, I haven't a clue, Ainsley, how am I? And for my team member to say, well, I don't know either. And so we end the conversation. So what we've put in here is very simple, basic business discussion points that the team can have with a client to fire their imagination. Now, it's likely the client will have ideas. And if that's the case, we can just add the new task and carry on. And effectively, what I want to generate here is a who, what, when action plan. So who's going to be responsible for doing what task by what deadline, so that we can hold the client accountable going forward. Because some clients at the end of this will say, well, that's great. I'm going to do it all myself. I don't need any help. Thank you. And that's okay, because you can say to them, well, great. I'll check in with you in 3 months to see how you're getting on. And we know what's going to happen when we ring them in 3 months' time. They're going to say, oh, Ainsley, you don't understand. I just didn't have the time. I didn't get around to it. I couldn't focus on it. And so it's okay if the first time the client says, I'm good, I can do this all myself. And you'll say, great, we'll check in with you in a little bit to see how you're getting on. But realistically, they're going to need help and support to complete this. And doing this who, what, when action plan gives us the ability to go back to them and say, this is why it was important. £69,000 of profit at stake. That's why these tasks were really important to hit, and let us help you do that. And our most successful clients meet us on a quarterly basis, for example. Now, we can use the system here to manage the tasks, or we can download the report, print it, put our logo on it, stick it on file, email it out, however we want to deal with the client from a task management perspective. But in here, we've got very simple, basic discussion points that the team can have with the clients to be able to fire the client's imagination to be able to generate action points. But in addition to what the client can do to help themselves, we've also signposted where the firm can help the client in this area too. So for example, on revenue growth, we're wanting to make sure that the client, we have a budget in place so that we know where the client is, where they're supposed to be. And if they're behind or ahead, we need to know these things. So our budget is particularly crucial at this point. So do you have a budget in place? Can we help you do that? In addition, in here for the gross profit changes, we've also got things like, can we help you with your bookkeeping procedures? Because analyzing gross profit by product or service line is probably one of the best things we can do for our small business owners, so they can understand their efforts, what revenue is generating contribution to overheads, and where they should focus their time and effort. And so us helping them with bookkeeping, either training or taking it off their hands, is probably something we need to talk to them about. In operating profit, we're talking to them about regular management reporting. Better data equals better business decisions. So can we help you with proper management reporting, not just pushing a button from Xero or from Sage? Revenue per employee, again, we've got some additional points here for the team to discuss. And we do have supplementary questions as well, if they fly through this. What we didn't want on here is a checklist. This is a conversation and recording a conversation, not a checklist for them to go through. And again, in the cash section, we've got things like getting paid by direct debit. Can we help you install Go Cardless or Stripe, for example? Can we help you with a diagnostic tax review to make sure you're getting all available reliefs and you've got the government's cash, not the other way around? Is there a funding gap? Can we help you with a funding plan? Do you need a cash flow forecast? So in addition to be able to offer them various levels of subscription advisory, we can also signpost all the things we can do to help the firm here, to help the small business owner at this point. So a very, very simple strategic planning tool here, where the client is now, where they could get to, what the gap is, and how to create an action plan to help them close the gap and help them from a firm perspective with the support that we can deliver to them. Now, there is lots else in behind Clarity. So we have a business university to be able to help the team, help the small business owners. So again, that they don't get stuck if the client asks them questions that flow from that strategic planning session. It's not a business manual. It's just relevant points that come out. We also are building that advisor university that I showed you, the graphical user interface. We've got lots of hard copy systems. Like everybody else, it's all in hard copy, but what we're going to do is put that online and tech flow it so that it works seamlessly in the platform. And we have an online data storage system, a data room, which is probably only for those businesses that seriously want to scale their business. Probably not time to go through here today. For the vast majority of clients, looking at their numbers, where they are now, where they could get to, and creating an action plan for them and helping them off the back of that action plan is a great place to start with business advisory and a great way to be able to generate additional revenue for the firm. So that is a very fast whistle-stop tour. So it wasn't meant to be a complete demo. It probably ended up being a little longer than I had hoped, Gordon, but I think it was useful to see.
Yep, absolutely. So many things you triggered for me there, taking me back to my experiences of introducing this to the firm that I took over, as I said already, and how to simply get our own clients onto what was then standing order. But now there are clever ways to do it on direct debit. How to get to negative debtors position, which the firm that took over still scratching their head wondering how I managed it. But we've been through this. We can share these thoughts with member firms and help them share the same thoughts with their clients. And what you've done here to pull it all together in one tool and give the additional, not the university part, but the guidance for team members, etc., allows them to empower their own team to actually do a lot of this work, so that it's not all partner driven. Exciting stuff. And what was in my head was giving the members the ability to access these tools, start to use them, and that between yourself and Armadillo, we give that additional support to our member firms to make sure that they not only have the best of tools with Clarity, but also the support and guidance behind the scenes to help them make the most of those tools and make a huge difference, hopefully, to their practice. That's the thinking behind it. So hopefully that was helpful to people to get a little bit of an understanding of what's coming with Armadillo Academy and our partnership with Clarity. Where do members go from here, Ainsley? Do you have a few minutes to?
I do. So just to go through the mechanics, we've created for specifically and exclusively for Armadillo Academy members, we've created a specific service offering. So obviously included with the standard Clarity packages, which includes the portfolio view. We've got an implementation quick start program, which helps firms get up to speed really, really quickly and start making money from Clarity quite fast. So specifically for Armadillo, so those are standard, but specifically for Armadillo, we've created a quarterly mastermind group. And this is to help with, obviously, the profound wisdom from you and me and the software and all the people that we know and the input, together with group momentum drives personal accountability. And so this group mastermind session is going to be a quarterly session with us and Armadillo, 1.5 hours every quarter. And so you'll be able to bring problems and share wins and share challenges and share successes in a trusted environment. And we'll be able to give input and unstuck some sticks and help firms actually drive implementation and drive results. This is about making money for the firm and making money for the team and making money for clients. This is a win-win across the board, and we want to make sure that this gets implemented, and not like programs of the past where it stops after the rah-rah. This is about helping make this continue. So we're going to kickstart it with a 2.5 hour English. Sorry, Gordon.
I bet there's a number of us sitting with tools on the shelf or in the back of the cupboard somewhere. So this is all about actually helping them to use the tools and make the most of the software. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of mechanics. I don't think they need to focus on the mechanics. If you want the nitty gritty, it's all there. It's all about profound wisdom, group accountability, and momentum from us and our help and your help to help our members, joint members, drive forward and achieve massive results. So there are a couple of things to just kick off. We have a kickstart session every Friday to help get you into the flow. So for some people, they'll be ready to get signed up now. So get signed up. Okay. We'll help you get signed up, and we'll help you start making money as fast as possible. Go on that calculator and see what's at stake and put it into a little bit of focus about what your firm could do to achieve and to help its bottom line. Now, you and I have got a detailed webinar, and this has turned out a bit longer than we probably both anticipated, but it's probably, I'm Irish, I talk too much, and it's an interesting topic, and you're involved and you're engaged in it, so I'll keep going. But we're going to have a longer webinar for those that want a little bit more information on the 15th of September, probably a little bit more in depth than here, but maybe not a huge amount more. And the first Mastermind Ignition event, so that's the 2.5 hour really in-depth ignition event to really leverage the power of other things that you've got going on the Academy, which you're going to share with them, I presume, soon over the coming months. So harnessing all of that magic. There's a big ignition event on the 5th of November for Academy members. Now, it would be helpful that the firm was set up and ready to go before this point so that they could make maximum return. It's not essential, but it would be helpful. So if you're ready to get started straight away, then let's get started. The price for this is an exclusive price as well for Academy, Armadillo Academy members. It's £120 per month plus that. As I said to you, it's a stonking deal. The only reason we can do this is the latest technology and infrastructure is enabling firms to be able to use technology to its fullest. So we're leveraging the power of technology full. There's a specific code, and we will help Armadillo members where to put that code. But that code is critical because that's what gives you the discount that nobody else gets, and also gives you access to the special program that you and I have put together for the members. So a special code, special price, a huge amount of value wrapped up in this, hopefully delivering a massive amount of return. So there is one other place that they can go to get a little bit of background on the types of things that they might learn. So if you want to take this simple quiz, this will give you an idea of where the firm's positioned at the moment and what it needs to do to be able to help drive the growth going forward. So very simple a quiz to go on, and it'll give you a lot of insight and knowledge about your firm and how the Academy is going to really help you drive forward. In addition, if you're ready to get started straight away, there's a QR code there. So if you want to snap it on your phone, it'll take you right straight through to the link. Otherwise, the Calendly link is there. And that link is the same for if you're ready to get started, or if you want more help or more demo, or you want more support, or you want to just chat to us about whether this is right for you, then we're happy to have that and to discuss it with you. And you just need to let us know you're an Armadillo Academy member, and we can make sure you get the best support. So thanks for the time, Gordon. I appreciate we've probably gone a little bit longer than we had initially anticipated, but I think it's hopefully been helpful for people, and hopefully it gives them a good insight.
Absolutely, Ainsley. So they go to the website that they see there, they use their discount code, they can get signed up straight away, get ready to start to get involved.
Absolutely.
And the additional support that we've got for them will kick off with their Friday supports.
Yep, so the Friday supports is our normal Clarity support. They will get access to the normal Clarity support, the online training, the help, and the monthly workshops that we run, and all the resources that our existing Clarity members get. And they will get access to the Slack group, that's the general Slack group. What's going to happen on top of that is on top of that, specifically for Academy members, we've got a mastermind group, runs quarterly, and it kickstarts with an ignition event, and they will have their own Armadillo Academy private Slack group where they can share in a trusted environment successes and wins and challenges and hopefully really push group momentum for accountability and for implementation.
Superb, Ainsley. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm, for your explanation today. Looking forward to working with you and empowering the firms and helping them empower their team and their clients. And as you say, it has to be a win-win-win. And delighted to be working with you, Ainsley. So thank you for today. And I think that's all we really have today. Let's just close the recording, and we will speak to you again soon. Thank you.